Now, it's not uncommon for a flat earther to try and debunk me, or at least it didn't used to be. It's happened many times over the years and I usually just ignore it. But when one flat earther tries to debunk a 10-second clip of mine after totally slaughtering my character, I just couldn't ignore it. You don't want to miss this one. Hello all and welcome along to another video with me, Scientism. Thanks very much for joining me. Right, on with today's video then, which comes from True Earther 911. He's got a problem with one of my shorts videos, so he's made a response. The problem is, he goes in pretty hard pretty early. You'll see what I mean. Here we go.
What is up, beautiful people of YouTube? Before we roll into today's breakdown, let's talk about the guy behind it all. This right here is Scientism. He's a YouTuber with over 500,000 followers whose entire channel is built on taking the piss and ridiculing people who question the mainstream narrative.
As you can see, we're around 20 seconds in and we've already gone for the ad hominem attack. Always a great sign that solid evidence is on the way. For the record, my channel is about explaining science clearly and occasionally laughing at how badly some people misunderstand it. It's not ridicule when the facts are funny by themselves.
His message is simple. His method is very simple. He cherry picks smaller creators, twists their content with misinterpretations and slaps on pseudoscience analysis that he never actually proves.
Ah yes, the old twist my words defence, otherwise known as I didn't like being quoted correctly. I show clips exactly as they appear, in full context, and then I explain why the science doesn't support what is said in those clips. That's not twisting anything, that's clarifying things. And actually, I'll take on any video from any creator. I regularly take on Eric Debay and Mark Sargent, two massive flat earthers. And when it was a tiny channel, I always took on the big ones.
You see, this guy is just what we call a boil on your bum. He just follows you around, misinterpreting your creations and all your research. And when he first came after me, I had barely 2,000 followers. He had over 500,000. It wasn't really a fair fight. It was designed to crush a smaller voice, to make an example out of me. But instead of destroying me, it lit a fire. It forced me to sharpen my content, to go deeper, to be stronger, and to speak my truth with more conviction than I ever have before.
Look, I don't go after small creators. As I said, I respond to bad science. The size of the channel doesn't matter when you're trying to claim that Earth is a pancake. If your video goes viral with misinformation, it deserves scrutiny. That's how science communication works.
In a strange way, I should actually thank him, because without realising it, he made me a better creator. But here's the important point. This isn't just about me. He does this to a lot of creators, a lot of content creators worldwide who are just starting out, you know, people like me who are just speaking their truth, sharing their research and questioning what we were told. And he tries to frame them as jokers, not by bringing any proof, but by recycling textbook talking points that crumble the moment that you actually analyse them.
So now apparently I'm a part of some global operation, targeting small creators who are just speaking the truth. No, you're not Galileo, you're just wrong on the internet. It happens sometimes. And I don't frame anyone as a joke. I explain why their claims are laughably bad. And yes, I use textbook talking points, because shockingly, textbooks are written by people who've spent their entire lives looking at one subject, not by someone who's done a weekend's worth of research on YouTube. If my explanations crumble when analysed, then by all means, analyse them. Show the equations, show the data, show anything beyond I feel this is wrong.
He proves nothing, he never does. He hides behind sarcasm, editing, and the assumption that if he says something so confidently enough, his audience won't even question it. But I've been debunking his same tired arguments for over a year now, with more depth than he ever has, more depth than he is even willing to touch.
And I've been debunking Flat Earth's tired old arguments for 8 years. That's nearly a decade of people being wrong on the internet. If I sound confident, it's not arrogance, it's repetition. And let's bear in mind here, he's probably only ever seen my shorts, not the in-depth long-form videos like this one.
So today, we are going to break down exactly what his so-called debunk of me was nothing more than just smoke and mirrors. And trust me, once you see how shallow his methods are, you'll understand how his whole channel depends on mocking rather than proving. So let's roll the clip.
Yes, let's. Then we can see the in-depth debunking of my video, can't we?
Astronomers like Herschel or even Hubble were interpreting light patterns and not measuring physical travel distances.
Okay, I'm going to give you a pass on pronouncing Andromeda Andromeda. But what you said there was very wrong. Hubble was literally known for working out distances. You couldn't have picked a worse name to make your point, to be honest. Absolutely amazing.
I think that's fair from me. Not too harsh, is it?
See, one thing you need to realise is that Pseudoscience Dan does nothing to prove his case. He just sits there with a smug little face and misinterpretates people's hard work for his own narrative. But
I'd say it's harder work trying to rewrite Hubble's research into something that fits a YouTube conspiracy video. Hubble spent years gathering real data through telescopes. If pointing out that galaxies are measurably moving away from us is my narrative, then I'm afraid my narrative just happens to match observable reality.
Edwin Hubble did not measure distance. He didn't have a giant tape measure. He didn't hot galaxies and triangulate stars.
Hubble measured distance using the brightness of Cepheid variable stars, a method pioneered by Henrietta Leavitt. These stars pulse in a predictable way, and their intrinsic brightness can be compared to how bright they appear to us. That can give us a distance. So you're wrong with that statement you made there. I've not misinterpreted your work just then. I've explained why your statement was wrong.
What he did was observe redshift, the stretching of light. That is literally it. And the embarrassing part for Pseudoscience Dan is that he mustn't realise that redshift is just an observation. It's literally the assumption that it equals distance, that it proves expansion. This is exactly that, an assumption, an interpretation, and not a measurement.
Okay, you want depth? Here we go. As I've already said, Hubble did measure distances with Cepheid variable stars, whose brightness and period form a predictable pattern. But that's just the half of it. Hubble used that to calculate how far away galaxies are. He then compared those distances to their redshifts and found a clear linear relationship. That is what we now call Hubble's law. His original paper, A Relation Between Distance and Radial Velocity Among Extragalactic Nebulae, 1929, spells out how he derived distances and velocities. The link between redshift and distance isn't an assumption. It's a measured, repeatable correlation confirmed for nearly a century. Reviews like Barkle 2015, Hubble's Law in the Expanding Universe, explain how both observation and general relativity predict exactly this behaviour. Modern work like Friedman 2001 from the HST Key project refined the same method using new Cepheid calibrations, and more recently Hogas 2025 re-examined that distance ladder with even greater precision. So if this is just an assumption, it is one backed by about a century of increasingly accurate data. Redshift is the fingerprint of an expanding universe. Not an opinion, not an interpretation. If you'd have done just 5 minutes of research, you'd have found that Hubble's 1929 work directly measures distances using Cepheid variables, the clues in the title. But instead of reading, you decided to lecture me about how Hubble didn't have a tape measure. The irony is, of course, in trying to debunk me, you've just demonstrated why my channel exists in the first place. Because people keep proving they don't understand the very thing they're trying to correct.
Ultimately, if Pseudoscience Dan did his own research instead of just sarcastically misinterpreting people's work, he would have realised that even Hubble himself was very cautious. He admitted that redshift could have other causes. Plasma cosmology, tired light, electrical models, all ignored because the Big Bang narrative was far too profitable. Billions in funding, careers, documentaries and textbooks, all resting on twisting one man's cautious observation into a dogma.
Let's get something straight. Being cautious is how science works. Every credible scientist phrases their findings carefully. Now, Hubble acknowledged uncertainty in 1929 because the data was brand new and the cosmic distance ladder was still being built. That's called intellectual honesty. As for plasma cosmology and tired light, both have been tested and ruled out observationally decades ago. None of it was ignored, it was examined and then discarded because the evidence didn't hold up. Now that's the exact opposite of dogma.
So when this guy says that Hubble measured distances, what he is really doing is just parroting textbook lines like that he has never even investigated himself. So he comes with no evidence, no experiment and no actual proof himself, just complete parroting of the pseudoscience anomalies that he can never prove himself. That isn't science, that's scientism, you know. It's literally just religion in a lab coat.
Ah, the holy trinity of an anti-science rant. You haven't done your own experiments, you're just parroting textbooks, it's all scientism, which is a religion. They all start the same way. You haven't done your own research. And then the moment you show them the actual research, it magically becomes scientism, as if the problem is belief and not understanding. They'll sneer at textbooks, but then not read them. They'll demand experiments, but then never learn what's already been done. And when you point to the peer-reviewed data, they'll say that you're part of a religion. Same old, I guess. It's nothing new. There's been many like you before, and I'm sure there'll be many like you after.
And honestly, the only distance that the Hubble has ever measured was the gap between critical thinking and people like pseudoscience Dan. Now, for everyone who actually values the truth and loves the question, I have got the ultimate shirt drop. The front says, once you go flat, you never glow back. And the back obviously says, I'm as fictional as a dinosaur, baby. These t-shirts are £25 each. Very simple to order. Just PM me directly. Quick bank transfer and it is literally on its way. Because if we're going to wake people up, we may as well wear it proudly whilst we do it.
My word, that is embarrassing. And I think a lovely place to end today's video. Please do let me know in the comments what you thought of this one, whether or not you liked his take on my video. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another one. Thanks so much for watching today. As ever, it's appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. I've been Simon Dan, hope it was a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for the return of Eric DeBay. See you then.